Your entryway might be spacious, or it might be one of the smallest spaces in your home. But it could also be one of the most important. Because before anyone sees your living room, your kitchen, or your bedrooms, your entryway has already made an impression. It tells your guests what kind of home they're walking into. Is it warm and inviting? Sophisticated and luxurious? Traditional? Contemporary? Or perhaps a little more eclectic and personal? For years, the formula for styling an entryway has been relatively predictable. A console table, a mirror, a lamp, a vase, maybe a tray for your keys. And while there is absolutely nothing wrong with this classic combination, it continues to work beautifully. We're seeing designers approach entryways very differently in 2026. The entrance is no longer simply somewhere to walk through. It is becoming a fully designed space in its own right. We're seeing richer woods, architectural walls, sculptural lighting, unexpected materials, statement artwork, concealed storage, and much more personality. So today, we're looking at exactly how designers are styling entryways in 2026. And we're going beyond the usual console and mirror advice. We'll take that classic formula and show you how to evolve it into something that feels current, sophisticated, and genuinely personal. And by the end, we'll bring everything together into our new 7-layer entryway formula. So let's start with the element designers are increasingly using to transform even the simplest foyer. Start with the architecture. One of the biggest changes we're seeing in entryway design is that designers are no longer treating the walls as a blank backdrop. Instead, the wall itself is becoming part of the design. Think decorative molding, fluted timber, paneling, textured plaster, lime wash, wallpaper, stone, and even painted ceilings. This is particularly important in an entryway because these spaces are often relatively narrow. You may not have room for a large amount of furniture, but you always have walls. So rather than asking, what can I put on this wall? Ask, what can this wall become? A simple entrance can be transformed with full-height paneling. One of the newer directions we're seeing is taking this idea even further by treating the ceiling as part of the architecture. Imagine a warm chocolate-painted hallway where the color continues across the ceiling, or a small foyer wrapped in a beautiful botanical wallpaper, or a timber-lined ceiling paired with warm plaster walls. Instead of trying to make the entrance disappear because it's small, you're making the small space feel intentional. And that brings us to the second layer. The console table isn't going anywhere, and honestly, we don't think it should. It's one of the most useful pieces of furniture you can have in an entrance. But the console we're seeing now is very different from the generic narrow table we've seen everywhere over the past decade. Designers are choosing pieces with much more presence. Dark walnut, burl wood, travertine, stone, fluted timber, and sculptural curved silhouettes. The console is becoming less of a surface to decorate and more of a piece of furniture that establishes the character of the room. And proportion is absolutely key. If you have a large wall, don't automatically choose the smallest console you can find. A substantial piece can make the entire entrance feel more intentional. On the other hand, if your hallway is narrow, a slim console with a sculptural base can still create impact without obstructing the circulation. The important thing is that the console should feel like it belongs to the architecture. It shouldn't simply be something you've squeezed against the wall. Think of it as the hero piece of furniture in your entrance. Now, above that console, the obvious choice has always been a mirror. And yes, the mirror still works. It's practical, it reflects light, it makes a small space feel larger, and it gives you one last opportunity to check yourself before leaving the house. But this is where we're seeing one of the more interesting shifts. The vertical focal point doesn't necessarily have to be a mirror anymore. You could use an oversized piece of artwork, a beautiful antique painting, a textile, a sculptural wall installation, or even an unusually shaped mirror that feels more like artwork than a functional object. If your entrance is already bright and spacious, artwork might actually create more personality than another mirror. And if you do choose a mirror, think beyond the standard rectangular design. Look at arched mirrors, oversized round mirrors, irregular organic shapes, antique glass, or mirrors with substantial sculptural frames. The goal is to create a focal point, not simply fill the empty space above the console. This is one of the easiest ways to make an entryway look considerably more expensive: lighting. But we're not talking about simply choosing a nice ceiling light. The most sophisticated entrances layer their lighting. Start with your main source, perhaps a pendant, a chandelier, a beautiful lantern, or a sculptural ceiling fixture. Then introduce a secondary source. That might be a small lamp on the console, wall sconces, or a picture light illuminating artwork. And suddenly, your entrance has depth. Instead of one harsh pool of light, you've created several levels of illumination. And this is particularly important in the evening. During the day, your architecture and natural light do most of the work. At night, your lighting should completely change the mood. This is why designers increasingly treat lighting as part of the architecture, rather than something added at the very end. A picture light can frame a painting, wall sconces can emphasize symmetry, and a sculptural pendant can visually connect a tall entrance with the rest of the house. Now here's where your entryway can start feeling genuinely designer. Contrast. If everything in your entrance is soft and neutral, introduce one harder material: stone, metal, glass, glossy ceramic. If you've got lots of timber, introduce something painted or plastered. If the architecture is very traditional, bring in one distinctly contemporary object. The idea isn't to create contrast simply for the sake of it. It's about creating tension. Imagine a dark walnut console against a soft lime-washed wall, or an antique mirror above a contemporary stone console, or a traditional runner underneath a very modern sculptural pendant. These combinations are what make an interior feel collected, rather than showroom perfect. And that leads perfectly into another major trend. For several years, pale oak and light timber dominated contemporary interiors. But we're seeing a return to richer, deeper woods: walnut, smoked oak, dark-stained timber, burl wood. And these materials are particularly effective in entryways. Why? Because they introduce instant depth. A dark walnut console against a creamy wall can feel incredibly luxurious without needing excessive decoration. And if you're worried that darker wood will make a small hallway feel smaller, balance it with lighter walls, reflective surfaces, and warm lighting. The result can actually feel more sophisticated than an entirely pale scheme. And because an entrance is often a relatively small space, it's a perfect place to experiment with richer materials. Here's something we think is often overlooked: the floor. Your entryway floor has enormous visual influence. A beautiful herringbone floor can establish an entire design direction. A checkerboard stone floor can make a traditional entrance feel much more architectural. A patterned tile can introduce personality, and a beautiful runner can instantly soften a long hallway. We're also seeing more confidence with pattern underfoot, and this makes sense. If your walls are relatively restrained, the floor is a perfect place to introduce pattern without overwhelming the room. The key is simply to think about the floor as part of your overall composition. Don't choose it separately. Think about how it works with your walls, console, lighting, and artwork. Now, let's talk about something that isn't particularly glamorous, but is absolutely essential: storage. Because a beautiful entryway that doesn't function isn't a successful entryway. Shoes, coats, bags, keys, umbrellas, children's belongings, all of those things need somewhere to go. But the latest approach isn't necessarily about adding more visible storage, it's about making storage disappear. Built-in cupboards, drawers beneath benches, closed cabinetry, concealed shoe storage, hooks integrated into paneling. Even a small drawer built into a console can become a dedicated place for keys and everyday essentials.
The principle is simple. Function should be present, but it doesn't have to be visible. And this is one of the biggest differences between an entryway that simply looks beautiful in a photograph and one that actually works in a real home.
Here's another newer way of thinking about the entrance. Instead of designing it purely as a drop zone, give it a reason to make you pause. Perhaps it's an upholstered bench, a beautiful chair, a dramatic plant, a sculptural piece of artwork, a niche filled with ceramics, or a small table displaying fresh flowers. Even in a narrow hallway, you can create one moment of visual pause, and you don't need lots of furniture to achieve it. Sometimes one beautiful object is enough. This is particularly useful when your front door opens directly into a hallway. Instead of trying to fill every available centimeter, create one deliberate moment that draws the eye further into the home.
So let's bring everything together. If you want to create a designer-worthy entryway, think about these 7 layers. Number 1, start with the architecture. 2, hero furniture. 3, the vertical moment. 4, sculptural light. 5, natural texture. 6, invisible function. 7, the unexpected. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to take a look at our other videos and subscribe for more interior design trends, styling formulas, and designer-led ideas for creating a more beautiful home.